How come every time you start studying, you're only able to concentrate for a few minutes before TikTok is magically opened on your phone? Once the guilt of doom scrolling hits you, you force yourself to get back to work. But 10 minutes later, you find yourself opening a random app that you never use. For some reason, you just can't seem to get yourself to focus. Are you unmotivated, undisciplined, lack self-control? These factors may seem like the problem, but they are actually just the symptoms. The real problem is overstimulation. In today's society, there is no shortage of apps grabbing your attention, ranging from social media to games to TV streaming services. Good news, boredom is gone. Bad news, your brain can't stand a single second of boredom anymore. We've gotten so used to constant dopamine hits from YouTube Shorts, Twitter discourse, and trashy forums that just studying for 15 minutes feels like hell. You might be thinking, what's the problem with being entertained 24/7 if the only downfall is that it makes boring work more boring? Well, at best, overstimulation just disrupts our ability to get something done efficiently. At worst, we let all this cheap dopamine control our lives. Our goals become increasingly out of reach and we're only able to complete the bare minimum. Even sitting alone with our thoughts makes us uncomfortable and might even be scary. So, what do we do about this problem before it gets worse? This is where delayed gratification comes in. Delayed gratification is the ability to resist an immediate reward in order to get a greater reward in the future. The famous marshmallow experiment explains this concept pretty well. In this experiment, a child is brought to a private room and a marshmallow is placed right in front of them. The researcher tells the child that if they can wait 15 minutes without eating the marshmallow, they will be rewarded with a second one. Then the researcher leaves the room and allows the child to make their decision. As you can probably guess, delayed gratification would be resisting the temptation in order to get 2 marshmallows, and instant gratification is eating the marshmallow right in front of them. The results of this experiment have shown that children who are able to delay their gratification tended to do better later on in life. They generally had higher SAT scores, lower levels of substance abuse, better emotional regulation, and better social skills, which were all tracked over a 40-year period. These days, our brains are so overstimulated that we're always craving instant gratification. Why study for an exam when I can just scroll on Instagram? Why go to the gym when the TV is right here? So how do we rewire our brain to get better at delaying our gratification? The solution lies in the dopamine detox.
So what is a dopamine detox? It is eliminating everything for 24 hours to a week that would ignite any kind of dopamine response.
So here are the rules. For the next 7 days, I won't be allowed to consume the following things. No social media. I deleted all social media apps from my phone and won't be able to access these sites on my laptop as well. No digital entertainment. I'm not allowed to watch TV or Netflix and I can't play any video games. No junk food, which means that I can't eat any unhealthy food like chips or sweets.
As shown in these videos, the dopamine detox eliminates cheap sources of dopamine for a week in order to reset our dopamine levels to baseline. As a result, we become more focused and productive, successfully rewiring our brain from instant gratification. This is the ultimate solution, right?
A dopamine detox isn't about challenge, it's about change. Recently, I completed a detox and I realized if I went straight back to scrolling and procrastinating, then what was it all for? Anyone can challenge themselves not to use their phone for a week, but that's completely missing the point. To regain control, it has to be done with intention.
The main problem with the dopamine detox is that the purpose is usually misunderstood. Many people believe that by abstaining from cheap sources of dopamine for a short period of time, it will rewire their brain back to its default settings. If you actually think about it, do you really believe that 1 week of this detox will reset years of doom scrolling that you've been so used to? Yeah, I don't know about that. Instead, the purpose behind a dopamine detox should be about being intentional with your screen time instead of eliminating it completely. For one, it's pretty impractical given the society that we live in to eliminate all forms of digital entertainment unless you live in the woods with no internet or service. Secondly, you're almost always bound to fail when you completely restrict yourself. It's the same way how most people who start a diet usually fail after a week due to this extreme elimination of their favorite foods. If eliminating these dopamine sources doesn't work, Then what does? It's time to turn our weakness into a strength. Your brain constantly craves cheap dopamine hits. Use this to your advantage. Make screen time the reward for completing a task. Want to watch that anime episode? Alright, go to the gym first. Dying to check your For You page? Finish the rough draft of your essay then. If you have no motivation to do anything productive, this will become the motivation. Your brain is so addicted to the internet that it will do anything to get a dopamine hit, especially when you first start this detox. Remember to set realistic goals so that you don't get easily discouraged and give up. You could start off with working in 20-minute intervals and then reward yourself with 5 minutes of a short video. When you can fully concentrate for 20 minutes, increase that time to 30 minutes and higher until you can do deep work for 2 hours straight. Over time, you will start to notice your motivation for working naturally come back, since completing hard tasks also releases dopamine. It just takes a lot more effort to feel that pleasure than it does to open Instagram. As you get more accustomed to delayed gratification, the cheap dopamine hits won't seem as appealing anymore. That feeling of finally completing your 10-page paper could never compare to doom scrolling. Being intentional with your phone usage helps you develop the skill of delayed gratification, restore your self-control, and gain natural motivation for your goals. If you've made it this far in the video, here's an outline to help you start your journey. Week 1. Identify your cheap dopamine sources and use an app blocker for them. 1 sec works really well. Your goal is to set aside 30 minutes each day to work with no interruptions. Screen time is reserved for your breaks and at the end of the day. Week 2. Increase your work time to 1 hour. Limit your night scrolling to 2 hours max. Week 3. Increase your deep work time to 1.5 hours and limit evening screen time to 1.5 hours. Week 4. By now you should be reaching your goal of working uninterrupted for 2 hours straight. Daily screen time should be down to an hour or less. As always, adjust these times to work best for you. The dopamine detox, if done correctly, should be an ongoing process that can completely transform your life. It's not a challenge that resets your brain after X amount of time, but a commitment that helps you break out of this overstimulation cycle. As your screen time reduces, delayed gratification will start to become second nature. In addition to becoming more productive and motivated, your mental health will also improve. No longer constantly distracted, we are able to be more present with our thoughts. Our creativity also gets a chance to blossom. Not surprisingly, intentional phone usage generally leads to overall peace and happiness. However, as you regain control of your life and goals, it's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to be productive 24/7. To avoid getting stuck in the rat race when you just broke out of the overstimulation nightmare, you can check out this video. You deserve to live an intentional life that's full of peace, Queen.